Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Mixer. Today we are joined by a guest from all the way in Stuttgart, Germany. Andre Keller is a techno artist and audio engineer. His music has been played by the likes of Joyhauser and Ida Engberg. He's had tracks released on Mark Reeves' label Subvision, and he's got a real love for breakbeats. And his top song has over 1.2 million streams on Spotify. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's great. It's cool that we're able to have this conversation from such a distance. So it's great. It's really exciting. I thought the best way to start would be to just hear your story in your own words.
So, how it all began, or
Yeah.
where do you want to start?
We can what may be kind of cool is to hear. I suppose this is kind of a double-ended question then, but you're obviously from Germany, and there's a huge techno scene in Germany. But I wondered if that came into play maybe in your early inspirations. But I suppose from the beginning,
Okay.
that initial kick of like, I want to do this.
So originally, I didn't really come from a family that listened to techno or Eurodance or like the old stuff from the 80s or 90s. My parents always listened to classic rock, and we had a lot of vinyl at home. And so I think the first time I really got in contact with electronic music was with Eric Pritz's like hit single from back in the day. How is it called again? The one, yeah, the call on me, right?
Yeah, I
So
like that.
maybe it was the first connection that I had with electronic music, and then later in the years, I think it was around 2012 or 2010 even, when I first listened to Skrillex and the music that he made. It was so crazy. I've heard the sounds and that he created, and I thought to myself, this is so crazy. They sound so amazing. I want to be able to produce them myself, or like do them myself. I want to make music like this. And so I started researching about sound design, music production, and it was like 12 years ago now. And back in the day, I started to basically DJ and produce at the same time, because like my interest came from the sound design aspect of music production, of electronic music, and DJing also was super fun, and
Mhm.
it basically came hand in hand. What I think happens often is that people want to DJ because it's super fun to select your songs, play them for your friends, or like at the bar for other people, and then at some point you think about making your own music. But for me, it was basically coming hand in hand. I was interested in the music production process, and I've also basically immediately started playing with a super small Hercules controller. Um, yeah.
Mhm.
And then, I've produced a lot of different genres over the years. I've produced Melbourne Bounce, EDM, even a little bit of hardstyle, which I also was into back in the
Mhm.
days, and minimal techno, and like I produced basically every genre there is, maybe except gabber. But yeah, finally in the end, I think I landed with techno, peak time techno, and then recently I started a new alias with like the modern trancey sound that is popular right now.
Nice, man. Nice. That's class. What's kind of spurred you to do a bit more trance stuff?
So back in the day, I told you that I did a lot of different music. I've also had a phase, I would call it, where I would produce a French house edits. I think I've seen a video on YouTube where a guy named Sedwick, I don't know if you know the guy, made a French house edit, like how to. And I thought it was super nice to take old disco tracks and give them like a little polish, try to isolate the bass line, try to work out something new with the existing track. And that's basically what I did to some Eurodance, funk, and disco tracks with my new alias. And I'm like in the trancey scene, it's called like regrooves. And that's what I've been doing lately, making some fun regrooves that are just super fun to produce, a little bit faster than techno, and with a different kind of sound set, so to say. Yeah.
Nice. No, I actually I'm a big fan of trance for sure. And I know what you mean as well in terms of like the type of sound that you're referencing. What is your alias called then? Your other one.
Yeah, the new one is called DJ Unholy,
Nice.
and I'm basically right now doing both. So
Mm.
my normal alias Andre Keller, and the new one as well. So there's
Are,
still techno in my life.
are you enjoying having that second outlet then of music creation?
Yeah, I think it's nice because I didn't wanna do the trancey stuff with my normal alias because I think the bookers and of the clubs and people would get like confused. Okay, so this is what he does now. Maybe he doesn't fit into our booking anymore, or and so I wanted to have a new kind of book where I can start from a yeah, I don't know how to say it.
Different perspective.
Yeah, or from like start over again
Hmm.
with another
Hmm.
sound and not alter the sound of my normal alias, which I'm still doing.
That makes sense. No, that makes a lot of sense. Within that, then you obviously have these two at least, and then you're an audio engineer as well. How have the two skill sets complemented each other in your career? So, as an audio engineer and a DJ slash producer, how have these two skill sets sort of helped your career? How do they complement each other?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, it's audio engineering and music production is like pretty close. So,
Hmm.
of course, you can also only be an artist and work on the creative side of things of the music and then send your track off to mixing, mastering, and stuff like that, or even have a co producer with you. So, but if you're an independent artist and you're starting up, I think it's important to also lean into the side of like audio engineering, into mixing, editing, and all of those technical things, because then you have a deeper understanding for the production process.
Hmm.
And I think it helps also with your creativity if you know how to use the tools, if you know how to create solutions for problems that come up during the production process. And I think that's really like empowering your production because if you're like a super creative musician, but you stumble upon an issue in your production workflow or in your project that you're currently working on, and if you don't know how to solve it like with the audio technical bells and whistles, then you might get frustrated or need to seek out for help or something, which is totally fine. But of course, it's nicer if you can find the solutions on your own.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What sort of things then are you able to do for yourself then that maybe a artist without that understanding wouldn't be able to do? What kind of things does that involve? From someone who doesn't really know like a huge amount.
So I think a big part is that you might know mm, how to put your or like how to pronounce the elements that you need to pronounce in the track
Mhm,
for the track to work. So
mhm,
for me, it's the most important things are the kick and the lead sound, of course, as is in I guess most electronic music. But sometimes I hear musicians, yeah, not really bringing forward elements that are the lead elements of the track, and so they get like a little bit washed in the mix or like
mm,
lost. And I think that's very important that you know how to bring something really forward and that it like yeah, that it like
stands
screams
out.
at you basically
Yeah.
from stands out from the
Mhm,
mix, yeah. And I think that's really important that you have the skill to really know where to put the focus in the mix so that the listener, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, that the listener gets the best listening experience
mm.
and is not distracted by a washed out mix. But I mean, of course, sometimes a washed out mix can also be the goal. So in music production, there's basically no right or wrong. But
Mhm,
yeah, I mean, some things, or also sound design is a big part of what is important, I believe. Because you can buy preset packs and stuff for soft synths, or you can play around with a hardware synthesizer. But in the end, if you know where you want to go and if you know how to get there where you want to go, it's easier
mhm.
and more efficient to find the right sound or to alter the presets that you bought and maybe even do some presets from scratch so that you really have a unique lead sound or unique bass line that no one else has. Yeah, I think it's good to have your own sound design and to know how to, as stated earlier, bring your elements to the front and stuff like this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I feel like that's not very common as well. I mean, I may be wrong, but like I would say the majority of people I've spoken to, I would say like not everyone has that ability. So I really like the idea of being able to have a more full approach or sort of well-rounded approach to what you're doing because it kind of cuts out any not loose ends, but it cuts out any middlemen, I suppose, in a way. If you can like take full ownership of your process and like you said as well, it lets you bring out the bits that you want to bring out, and it gives you that the ability to do that. Like if you have it in your head, you can make it happen.
And I think it gives you also a lot of security, if you can say it
Mhm.
like that. You can be like sure that you have your own, like you're standing on solid ground. You have your sound design, you know, you're making your own presets. You don't need to buy the next best preset pack for
Mhm.
Diva or Serum to get a new sound, or to get like to be able to make a new track with another lead sound. You just come up with a new one. So that's the best you can do, I think.
No, I love that. I love that. Would you say then through your journey, then you're going down this different avenue of another alias. You've explored techno as well frequently with your current alias as well. What's been your biggest challenge in your career so far?
I think my biggest challenge would be to bring myself out there, so to say, like connecting with people in the club scene. Maybe even think about getting like a booking agency or something. It's like those bigger steps and connecting with people and getting yourself out there, promoting yourself. I think this is the most challenging part, because for me, I'm like super comfortable in the studio. I can sit here, do music, be comfortable, you know, in my own like small space and craft on my sound.
Mhm.
But then when it comes to playing music and performing music, getting the gigs, you need to do a lot of connecting, networking, and I think that's my biggest challenge, because I don't tend to promote myself like heavily, and I don't really do a lot of social media. I mean, today you in today's world you have to, but I'd really rather not. So
Yeah.
it's always like challenging thinking about, oh my God, what do I have to post now? What do I wanna post? I don't also, you know, I don't wanna post stuff about what I'm eating today or something. You know, I
No.
think that's not really interesting when you're following a DJ or music producer. I don't wanna know what they're eating, you know. I wanna know what they're working on and stuff
Mhm.
like this. But then I also have a high expectation of my content that I put out. So I don't want to post like trashy videos and stuff. But you know, it's tough, the whole social media thing and getting yourself out there and doing like entertaining content, but also not selling out yourself. So not making a clown of yourself, being like
Mhm.
serious and stuff like this. And yeah, I think it's the toughest part in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really valid point, especially or you don't wanna sell out in that way, like, especially if your key thing to use music. I think that as a creative, music is quite a hard thing to portray on things like Instagram and Facebook. There's kind of like a layer of like, I don't know, you're trying to perceive someone first before you buy into their music maybe or something like that. I don't know if you're taking them on Instagram. So a lot of people they'll revert to different tactics and try to become viral and ultimately takes them away from what they're actually doing, I think. Which in some instances it works for people, but in other instances, I think it's like I get what you mean. Like, if I could have a choice in like in that as well, I think the best thing would be to stay away from it. But you're right. When you're trying to promote yourself, you definitely miss out. Not miss out, but like I suppose it puts a reliance on other things a bit more heavily. Like if you're not going to use Instagram as much, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but it just means that other things you need to put like more into, I guess.
I think social media is really a good opportunity and chance for all people that make music, that are artists, because it gives you the ability to reach a lot of people sometimes. And I think that's really powerful. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, you know, you need to play like this game of posting every week, or maybe then the algorithm doesn't like you anymore,
Hmm.
or you have to maybe look at the trends, what is currently working, if you want to get viral or whatever. And then you still have to stay authentic, and it all takes time, you know. It
Hmm.
takes time away from your full-time job, maybe if you're not doing music full-time now. It takes away time from making music, getting out there and meeting people, connecting with people in the real world. So yeah, I think it's a big chance and it's a good opportunity to use social media, and you basically have to today. But yeah, it also takes a lot of your time and
Yeah.
work and stuff.
Absolutely. Do you have any other jobs? Or are you able to make music full time?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to do music full time for now, but so I'm working a full-time job as a motion designer slash photographer slash videographer slash audio engineer for an
Wow.
insurance company. So I
Wow.
basically do everything with media there. I produce their podcasts their in-house podcasts for like studying, learning purposes. Do their photos, like business portraits. I do animation for the website. Yeah, everything basically.
That tends to be the way when it comes to creative jobs. I feel like especially corporate companies, they try and get a 5-in-1 person, you know?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm doing a lot of stuff that the media agency, or how do you say it in English? I don't know. The creative agency
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
company
Mhm.
that is like scheduling or like planning the campaign and stuff, the big advertisements and stuff. So I'm overtaking a few of their work basically. So what we've given them in the past, I'm doing now on my own, and I'm also enabling the company basically to have like videos and stuff about internal projects and photos. You don't need to hire a photographer every now and then. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of things there.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you're really busy with that, which also in turn makes it more difficult to do what you wanna do if you're working a lot at something else.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working full time, of course, there's not a lot of time to make music, but yeah, you need to find the time in the
Mhm.
evenings, in the afternoons, maybe stop working a little bit earlier and then get off of work and make music, or on the weekends, use the weekends. I was working part time actually before August last year. And then I started working full time now again. So working part time is also a good way, I think, of doing it, because I worked had Fridays off, and so I would make music on Fridays then, and then go into the weekend with everyone else.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. I'm in a similar situation myself. I work full time. I make videos full time as a producer for a company in the UK, which is good because it kind of keeps me close to what I want to do, although it's just not fulfilling in the way that I want it to be. So it's quite challenging, but I think you're right. It's when you know that you want to do something else, it's just about finding the time for it. And you touched on as well, you're sort of stepping into maybe a bit of video as well, like as a hobby. What type of stuff are you doing with that? Is that something you want to take further or?
I mean, I'm very interested in creating video as well. So also because I'm doing it for my job. But what I'm doing like privately with video is mostly at the events that we host in a club in Stuttgart. I shoot the video and photos of the event, basically only of the DJ, because we don't take footage of the crowd. Yeah, and then so
Why
we
is
have
that
some
out of
footage.
interest?
In Stuttgart, most of the clubs, they will patch up your phone's camera, so that you can take any photos or videos of other people that don't want to be photographed and stuff, that don't want to appear in your social media feed, so to say.
Mhm.
And I think that's very respectful.
Yeah,
There's
that's
people don't really do videos in techno clubs in Stuttgart or in Germany. Like in most of the
interesting.
clubs, it's not allowed, because it should be a space, or like it's meant to be a place where you can express yourself without the fear of appearing in the social media feed of someone the next day, maybe like, drunk, or I don't know. You don't want to have that, and so you want to feel like safe and included, and that's why we usually don't allow photos and videos in the
Interesting.
club.
Yeah, there seems to be in the UK. I don't know if you've ever been to a techno club in the UK, but there seems to be a culture now around it. And it's a very social media culture where, it's about what you wear, it's about what video you got, it's about how you're looking. It's very like materialistic in a lot of ways. And a lot of the commercial artists are like quite like it's quite commonplace to see that if someone's like really popular. So it's interesting, and I think it's something that I suppose if you think back to like the 90s or the 80s, even when nightclubs and things were becoming bigger, that was how it was at the time. No one was being filmed. So the fact that you've kind of continued that in Germany is cool because definitely not continued in the UK.
I mean, I gotta be honest, there's also clubs where it is allowed, and so then there's a lot of phones, but it's not that bad, I would say. Even if there's a big artist, then of course people are gonna pull out their phones if their
Mhm.
favorite song comes up.
Yeah, true.
But it's not a huge problem, I would say,
Mm,
in Germany at least, or in the clubs that I'm going to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that that creates a better atmosphere then in the club itself, that people are just more there for the event itself?
I think so. I think people are also more into connecting with other people, talking to new people that they've never met before, and like making friends, talking about the music, talking about the event, maybe getting a drink at the bar together,
Yeah.
whatever. Like I think it's more socializing when there's no such things as like looking on your phone all the time, like checking your messages, checking your story if it went up, if it went online, or maybe. But I'm really not against having phones at parties and stuff.
Mhm.
So you do you,
Yeah.
take photos and video, but maybe upload them later and enjoy the
Mhm.
evening instead of
Yeah.
like thinking about how to write your story texts and whatnot. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's
gotta enjoy the
interesting.
party and leave the phone for the next day or something.
Yeah. No, no, I think it's a great point. So you meant, just coming back to the videography, so you were they obviously don't allow like a huge amount in with the crowd itself, but is there anything else you're looking at filming, or is it purely sort of focused around nightclubs and things like that?
I'm mostly focused around nightclubs, I would say. So personally, I'm also doing photos for like a friend of mine that I'm doing the events with. So
Mhm.
he's also a DJ, Fabian K. So we're doing basically the press shoots of ourselves. So he photographs me, I photograph him, and then we have something to post.
Nice. I like
Things
that.
that you gotta do.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm also doing photos like when I'm going to a trip or like have like an adventure or something. Then I like to take pictures of buildings and people and stuff like this. But yeah, video mostly of DJs. I also did a few gigs for a friend of mine, Björn. He's called Björnsen. He's a resident in a few clubs in
Mhm.
Stuttgart, and now is like expanding into Germany as a whole. So he played in
Nice.
Berlin and Frankfurt, which is very nice. I did a few gigs for him, so to say, taking photos and videos. And I would like to do it a bit more, but you don't always have the time to
Mhm.
do it. And then it's always in the club. So like, I don't know, when he's playing the closing, for example, at Frida's Pier from, I believe it's like usually from 4 to 6, then you have to be there at from 4 to 6 on a Sunday morning. So I would like to have the time to do it more
Mhm.
because it's challenging and it's fun to shoot in low light. But if I would have the choice, I would rather play there as a DJ and not take photos and videos of DJs, but I really like to do it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. I can totally see that when you're filming and you'd be like, deep down, you're like, "Oh, I would actually quite like to be doing this as well." But I think it's like things that you've touched on are extremely relatable. I do a couple of shoots for friends in nightclubs and things like that as well, and it's definitely that feeling of, it's good, but it's late. It's usually somewhere, sometimes it can be quite hard to get back from as well, and
Yeah,
it's
then
like,
you have to have a sober driver.
yeah, exactly. And, with a video, sometimes if they want more from you afterwards, it's not like you just finish on the night. You might need to edit some footage, or you might need to send things over. It kind of the work continues beyond the night itself, which I think gets forgotten about sometimes, especially
Yeah.
by the people hiring you. So it's an interesting point that you make. But it sounds great. And it also sounds like you're exceptionally talented with like different things that you're doing. You have lots of different outlets, which is great to see. Clearly very, very creative. And I
Thanks,
think
man.
just within that, do you have a creative process when you're making music? Is there a sort of way that you go about it?
So I touched on it earlier when I said that kicks and lead sounds are my focus, or like the most important things for me in the track. And so usually I start with an idea that I have in my brain, so to say, and I build like placeholder elements for everything else that is not so important. And I work on the lead sound or on the melody first, and then I design the sound itself, like how I'm imagining it, and then comes the kick. Or it's the other way around. I make like a nice kick drum, and everything suddenly falls into place. I don't know how you feel about it, but whenever I make like a kick that is sounding really crisp, really nice click, nice sub, and it's just nice. And then I
Mhm.
work on like a few placeholder drums and stuff like this, or even like build the drums then afterwards. And then the lead sounds and the add sounds and the it all comes from somewhere. I don't know from where, but whenever I have the kick, then it just comes to
Comes
me.
together.
I don't know.
Nice. No, I love that. No, I think it's interesting to know because when it comes to video creation, sometimes I'll see something or I'll think of something and it's like that one like spark of inspiration and it kind of leads you on it. But then there's some people who, they'll just maybe open a laptop and things will come to them that way as well. So I feel like it's
Mm.
just everyone's process is slightly different. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you let me just have a think here.
Yeah, sometimes I sit in front of my TV in the evenings, and then I just like get my laptop from my desk, put in my AirPods, and then I start making a track. Just
I love
sometimes it
that.
just comes. And but also I've also had times where I don't make music for 1 or 2 weeks because I'm not really motivated. Got other things to do, like stress at work or something. And then sometimes I really have to kind of like force myself to open like a project and just look into it for 5 minutes. And then I find myself working on it for 4 hours.
Yeah. No,
So
that
that also works.
super relatable. Like sometimes you maybe just start on something and then you find yourself down a rabbit hole and you're there for hours and hours. And sometimes you end up coming out with some of the best stuff when you've been working in that way, which is interesting. Just continuing that idea of your creative process and what inspires you. Do you have people that inspire you? Do you have people that maybe even have mentored you? Or has it been much quite a solo journey so far?
So mentoring wasn't really a thing for me. I never really had someone that I worked with that was super like knowledgeable, knew everything, taught me a lot of stuff, helped me with my production and stuff like this. I never had someone like this. What was the other thing that you mentioned, a mentor?
An inspiration.
Inspirations are other artists, of course, music that other artists produce. I want to name like Weber, for
Yeah. Oh,
example,
yeah, I like Weber.
because
Yeah, yeah.
the sound design and arrangements of his music is so nice. And the same with Enrico Sangiuliano. I
Mhm.
think the sound design and the arrangements are so unique and everything fits so well together in the track. There's nothing that is like standing out weirdly that doesn't really fit or something. It just feels like whole and perfect. And the arrangements are a bit different from like the standard arrangements that you hear all the time. Um, yeah, there's a lot of work that I think there's a lot of work put into these tracks, and you can really hear it, I think.
Yeah. I like Enrico Sangiuliano's track "Hidden Tea." I don't know if you know that one. I
Yeah,
li
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Ghetto Blaster as well. That's pretty
Yeah, a
good.
lot of tracks. I
Yeah.
also like I actually have like basically almost every vinyl of him.
No way.
Yeah,
That's sick.
I'm pulling out the vinyl now in
Yeah, yeah,
fact.
get it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because also the new project, to Zero, the label that he's working on right now, or like the temporary label, how he calls it. I think it's a nice concept, and I'm really curious what happens when the last release dropped. So the Zero release, when it drops, I'm really curious to see what happens because the way he tells the story of the temporal project is, I believe that maybe he might even like remove all of the stuff from the internet after the last release.
Wow, that would be
Because
interesting.
how do you say that? They would be consistent because
Or
he
yeah,
says like
yeah.
everything is like temporal about this like stuff. If it's gone and stuff like this. He only does 10 releases from 9 to 0, and then that's it. And then the label basically doesn't exist anymore. Like there's
Wow.
no more releases on the label and blah blah blah. And so I made sure to buy the vinyl because I don't know if it's still really
Mm.
available digitally. I
Wow,
don't know.
yeah. That's a really cool point. Because I know he made that track at night, is it, "Can You Feel It?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
just grabbed a few of
Oh,
the
mate.
9 to 0
Wow.
releases.
Wow.
Those are really nice. So I have I think I'm missing one, but I'm getting it soon.
You'll get it, yeah. No, that's awesome. Do you have quite a big collection then?
Yeah, I have the record collection of my dad, and so there's a lot of classic rock as well, psychedelic rock, early
Nice.
hard rock and stuff like this. But I've also collected a few house records, new and old, and of course techno records. Also a lot of stuff from Mutual Rhythm. I don't know if you know the hard groove label.
No, I've not heard of that one.
Mutual, it's a good one.
Sure.
Yeah, continuing to grow the collection slowly but steady. But I think if I would ever want to play vinyl, I still need to get like a lot of more records because of a lot of tracks that I have, there are no records available, unfortunately. And the tracks that I have digitally that where there are vinyl available of them, it would be super expensive to buy them all to be able to play them in a set.
Can
But
imagine.
yeah,
I
so
can
for now,
imagine.
digitally only.
No, that's sick though. I think I've seen some of the I've never seen one live, but I've seen online obviously like a vinyl set and it's really, really impressive.
It's super impressive. The environment's always different in every club. There might be some bumps and the needle jumps and whatnot. You always have to bring your own like system for the record player. And maybe like when you're traveling, you break them, you need to get some new because otherwise you can't play. It comes with certain challenges, I think, yeah.
And no, 100%. That's a really cool thing to sort of do you have any aspirations sort of coming up? Like, is there things you're working towards? Is there things that you're looking forward to achieving within your career that's in the horizon?
So right now I'm working on getting my first label release with the new Alias.
Nice.
Then I have some finished and unfinished productions for my normal alias, Andre Keller, which I hope to place onto labels soon because there was now a long time where I didn't have any releases coming out, and I also don't want to go back to releasing with like a single or something. So
Mhm,
I'm planning to release something big with my normal alias when I release again, so to
mhm.
say. But I'm also, as I've said, working on getting my first proper label release with DJ Unholy, which I'm really looking forward to because it's just super fun making faster, trancey, techno-y stuff. It's not really trance, it's not really techno, it's something in between, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love that. No, I think when you're creating something that you enjoy, I think ultimately, like, what more could you want? I think and I think as well, that's kind of when you make the best thing as well. When you enjoy it, when you're having fun, is like when the best product or result comes out. So it sounds like you're on a really good path with that. One thing I wanted to ask you would be if you had a dream back to back, who would it be, and what venue would you play it in?
Let me think. So I'm thinking about the club right now.
Mhm.
Maybe you can cut out this part, whatever you were
Yeah, no
thinking.
rush. No, I'm happy for you to take your time.
Because there's so many artists that I really like, also that I think personally are very cool guys
Mhm.
or girls, you know. Let me see. So I really like Input Club. I think it's in Barcelona, right?
I'm not sure.
The footage looks insane of the club.
Awesome, that's
Let me look
class.
it up actually.
Yeah,
I'm
go
not
for it.
like talking shit right now. I'm just talking about like an imaginary
Yeah.
club. Yeah, Input Club, yeah, it's where is it? Input High Fidelity Dance Club, it's called. Okay, wow.
Nice.
Let me see. Maybe you've seen some videos in it. Yeah, it's in Barcelona. Barcelona. It's like so. Let me soon start with my answer.
No worries. No worries. No, I
Who
like the
who
thought
do I
going into the
wanna
answer.
who would I want? Do I want to play there with? Would be cute if I say that I want to play with my buddy that I'm doing the events with,
It would
but
be.
I think I have to say like a big name or something.
It's a tough choice.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, let's just go with Enrico San Giuliano back to back with me in at Input Club in Barcelona. That
Nice.
would be nice.
Nice. I love that answer. I think that sounds like a great show that I would love to be there for. I think that sounds really, really cool. But yeah, I think you have some really, really amazing insights into your career. And as I said earlier, I think your multifaceted creativity is really inspiring and impressive.
Thanks, man.
And it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. And I also think that based on that, like your skills and talents, you have undoubtedly got an exciting future ahead. So I'm excited to watch that journey from the UK. And maybe I'll be at one of the shows sometime.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It was really nice talking to you.
No, not at all. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.